abetterrouteplanner.com is one of my favorite tools, and it's invaluable. If you have an EV, you've got to use it, unless you've got a Tesla anyway. But how does it work, and how accurate is it? And that's what I'm going to explore in this video. So on Thursday, that's 2 days from now, I'm going to a place called Winchester. Winchester, actually, it's a beautiful place. Winchester is in a county called Hampshire, and it's about 2 hours away, and 117 miles from where I am in Canterbury. And I'm going to drive in the, well, I'm obviously going to drive in the e-Niro. I say obviously, I was actually going to borrow my sister-in-law's car. She's got a Fiat 500, but I drove it the other day, and it was the most hellish experience ever. Just because I'm so used to having an EV. So the thing is it's so noisy, it's smelly. You could even smell the petrol inside the car, you know. Filling up at a petrol station, that's miserable. It's also slow, actually, compared to the e-Niro. So it was just such a horrible experience. And I did it only so my wife could have the Niro, but I can't do it. So she's going to get the Fiat 500, and I'm going to get the e-Niro. So anyway, it's got the roof box on the top, but there's nothing in it. So what I want to see is whether a better route planner is quite accurate when I enter the exact weight of the roof box. And I'm going to enter the wind speed, and I'm going to enter the weather conditions. So I'm just going to see how accurate it is. I'll do the trip. I'm going to do the trip in normal mode this time. I don't normally, but I'm going to do it in normal mode with auto regen. I'm used to having that really nice, I love the regen effect. In fact, that's one of the things that bothered me about driving the Fiat 500, is that there's kind of a lack of control, I feel, when I'm driving an ICE car. It just feels like it's just wants to carry on going whatever you do, you know, and then you're always braking and holding off, and engine braking is not as nice as the regen, doesn't feel as nice. So anyway, long story short, I love regen. So I'm going to put it in auto mode. I'm going to see how that feels on the motorway, and I'll explain a little bit more about auto later and exactly what it does. But for now, I thought it might be interesting to go through a better route planner, show you how it works. And one of the best things about it is that you can put in a trip that you do quite often and then change the EV, so you can see, you know, if you bought an e-Golf, for instance, you know, would it be able to do that trip or whatever. So anyway, let's get cracking. So this is what you get when you first go to abetterrouteplanner.com. It might be easier if I just say ABRP from now on. Is that easier? Not really, is it? It's a mouthful, whatever. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start obviously by writing where I am now, Canterbury, and we're going to Winchester, which should appear. I'm not sure why it's not. There we go. Okay, plan route. So that's what it says then. 100% start to 42% once I get there, and that's the trip it's taking all the way up there, down there. If I just go to show settings on here, now you'll see that it's set to the Niro at the moment, and that's the reference consumption. Now with the roof box, I know for a fact it's not that high, but there's no option on here just to type in I've got a roof box. So what you have to do is add that. If you go to show more settings, so as you'll see here, we got the reference consumption, maximum speed I've put 74, start depart charge, well I'm leaving from my house, so that's 100%. Charger minimal arrival 20%. So that's like a way of saying, yeah, I don't want to get to, if you go into a charger, I don't want to get there with anything less than 20. Now this is what we did when we went to Italy. We left it at 20 just because we were so nervous about cutting it too fine, just in case there was a charger not working on the motorway. We wanted to know that we'd have enough charge to get somewhere else. And then max charge, if you wanted to, you could put that to 80%, because as you may know, if you drive an EV, it charges fairly quickly up to 80%, and then it starts to slow down. It tapers off until it gets to 100%. So you could set that to 80 if you wanted to. But a better route planner actually is very good at telling you how much to charge for anyway. And in fact, I'll do another little test in a minute just to show you. But for now, goal arrival charge 20%, yes, because I want to get to Winchester with a decent amount left. Units British, yeah. Outside temperature, well, that's definitely wrong. So if I just check the weather, now the weather's going to be about 2 degrees. It's going to be about 13 miles an hour, and it is, I think, a headwind. I'm not sure about dry roads. I'm going to put rain or snow. It's certainly going to rain at some point. Perhaps not around Canterbury, but probably around here. Extra weight. So the roof box is about like 18.5 kilograms or something like that. So I've put 19 there. You can add battery degradation. Now, that's interesting. When you hover over there, it says many EV batteries have lost about 5% capacity within a year or so. Well, that sounds like a lot to me, 5%. And as far as I'm aware, I don't have any battery degradation, so I'm not going to enter that in there. Time to open charge port. So this is if you're doing a long trip and you really want to do it quickly, then you could enter a different number in there for whatever reason. Chargers, if you've got a Tesla, you can take the supercharger and all the rest. Obviously CCS I've got on there. CHAdeMO if you're driving a Leaf, or anything else that uses that. Avoid en route. Ferries, toll routes towards highways. Well, no, I don't want to avoid anything particularly. Live car connection, that's not something I've delved into, but it's not relevant. It's not relevant for me. Synchronized settings, you can log in, you can register an account with them, and then you can log in there, and then that means it saves this plan, which is good. Just going back up to the top here, you've also got add waypoint. Now I could add an in-between point if I needed to stop somewhere, but I'll show you that. I'll show you that in a moment. So first of all, let's do plan route, and this is what it says. So I'm going to get to Winchester with 24%, and it'll take me about just over 2 hours. So interestingly, it takes me down the bottom route and not the top route. The top route I think is probably, well, it's a bit more motorway. So if I click that, let's see what it says. So to do the top way, there we go. You see, it's saying I should charge at Ecotricity just for 6 minutes, just to ensure that I get to Winchester with over 20%. If you remember, I entered 20% before in the screen before. So it's saying I should charge here. Of course, what a better route planner doesn't know is Ecotricity is beyond awful, and there's a damn good chance that charger probably doesn't even work. So what you can do is you could select that, and you could say prefer or avoid Ecotricity charges. Now I'm going to say never use this network. I'm going to put now it doesn't update immediately, if you notice that. So I'm just going to go back and press plan route again, and then hopefully now it doesn't even give me that top route. So that's interesting. So that's actually suggesting that there isn't anything else along there, not one other charger that I can use, which is a bit depressing if so. There's ones like this Polar. I mean, there's a Polar charger just there, but perhaps it's too far off the motorway. I'm not sure. Maybe that's why it didn't tell me to go there. Anyway, it's just decided, it's just its way of saying, look, Andrew, just go that way, don't even bother going there. And then I don't have to charge, so that's fine. So that's a better route planner. Now, I reckon that 24%, I think that's quite low. Bearing in mind the weather's not going to be great, it's fairly windy, not too much, but the wind does make a big difference with the roof box. But I still think that 24 is quite low. So I have a feeling I'm going to get there with like 34 or something like that. I think it's going to be an extra 10%. So we'll see. And we'll see who wins. But what I do know, having used this so many times before, is that I wouldn't say this is accurate particularly, but it's certainly more accurate than using the car's range, the GOM. and for the main reason that the GOM is only based on what you've recently been doing in terms of your efficiency. And the good thing about this is that it works out the lay of the land. It works out the topography and everything. So if you're going up a hill, then obviously that's going to make a difference. A better route planner knows all that kind of stuff, and the Kia doesn't. What I would say is that now I'm not sure what other sat navs are like in different EVs, but I know that Teslas are very, very accurate as well, because they do much the same as a better route planner. But anyway, having said all that, usually when I've used a better route planner, I end up with far more charge when I get to the destination than I thought I would have based on this. So that's worth bearing in mind. Okay, so let's go back and let's add a waypoint. Let's say I had to go to, where do I have to go to? Let's go to Crawley, for instance. And let's see what it says, whether I have to. Okay, well, in fact, it still says I don't have to charge, so that wasn't a good example, but you can see that's how it breaks down your journey. And this is what we did to Rome, and just to give you an idea of how that looked. Let's go Rome, Italy. So how many charges do you need to get to Rome? You've got to give it a little bit of time to work this out, because it's a bit complicated. So when we did this in the summer, there weren't very many Ionity charges. Now there are quite a few down here, going down on the right side of France. So it's going to be interesting to see which way it takes us down here when it works it out. It might go up the top where there are loads of Ionity charges, all up through here, Belgium and Germany. Wow, look at that. Okay, yeah, there we go. See, that's how it's taken us down. As you can see, there's a few Ionity actually, but we've got a little there and a couple of other charges as well. But yeah, you can see that's quite a few charges. I don't think we used that many charges to get down to Italy when we did it. But that's in another video, which I keep promising, and I will finish editing at some point. So anyway, so that's a better route planner. Now let's just go back to Winchester, because it's a pretty good sort of trip. So let's say that you were looking at buying an EV, and let's do with the MG ZS, for instance, which everyone seems to love, the people that buying them. For example, Bjorn has just got one. Bjorn Nyland, he's got one in Thailand now. James and Kate in the UK, they love their MG ZS. So let's see what it says about for this. Now the MG ZS, that has a range, if I remember rightly, has a range of about 180 miles, 160 miles, 100 or something like that. I can't remember. So let's see how that does. Okay, so you can see that you'd need a 23-minute charge just up here. It's taking you to a pub as well, actually. I mean, so it means you could stop in and have a glass of orange juice. So that's what it's saying. So this is a really good way of testing out EVs. Let's have another go. Let's try something else. Let's see what the let's see what the e-Golf is like. The e-Golf, you see, is worse than the MG ZS. There you go. Now the charge duration, you see that it's really clever the way it works it out. So only 21 minutes there and then 25 minutes there. I mean, that for me, this is pretty much the kind of journey that I used to do in the Leaf, and that sounds about right for the Leaf. But I would have thought the Golf would be able to handle that a bit better, because when I drove to this sort of area before in the Leaf, I don't think I had to charge twice on the way there. So let's see what the Leaf is like. Nissan Leaf 24, that was the one that we used to have. And now let's see what that says. Was it going to say like 4 charges probably? It's struggling to work that one out, isn't it? God, really? Okay. But it's taking me all the way up there, look. Going all the way through the all the way into London, really? Because I've said never use Ecotricity chargers. Okay, well, let's try it again. Don't care, because generally if you have a leaf, they're much better on Ecotricity anyway, because the CHAdeMO chargers tend to work a bit more. There you go. Well, that's a lot of charges. So I think that's being a bit cynical, really. But anyway, it's... Well, okay. So one of the things I've got here is I've got goal arrival charge. So let's say you don't care about that. Okay, well, let's say 1%. Minimum arrival charger, 1%. That's gonna make a difference, isn't it? Okay. But then, you know, you'd be a bit crazy to set it to 1%, because you don't want to get on when you're driving on the motorway. You don't want to leave anything to chance, right? You don't want to arrive with 1%. So that's a bad example. But it's still saying like 4 charges to get to there if I had the old Leaf. So this is a really good way of working out what's going to be right for you in terms of buying an EV. For now, let's get the Niro back, and see, charger minimum arrival 20 and arrival charge 20, because I feel comfortable with that. Okay, and there we go. And this is why, and I hate to say it, but this is why the Niro is so good, because you can see that you know, it's pretty effortless, isn't it, when you've got such a big battery. You know, but it's an expensive car, so that's I suppose that's what happens. If you had a well, let's see, in fact, let's do a Tesla. So that's arriving 24%. That's Tesla Model 3. Ooh, long range. Let's go with that one. Yep, supercharger. And let's see what that's going to be. Oh, that's not far off, is it? That's not far off the Niro. So you can see that the Niro is, I mean, when you consider the price as well, the Niro is so good. It's pretty much the same as the Tesla Model 3. So back to that. Thank you very much. Ooh, max speed. Not going to go that quick. Thank you. And there it is. Okay, so 24%. Let's see how it is when I actually do the trip. So as you can see, it's a really comprehensive system for working out kind of the rough idea of whether you can actually get to a destination okay or need to charge. As you can see with the settings there, I mean, you can play and tweak that as much as you want and be as accurate as you want. And it is worth just doing that before you go on a long journey, just to see how it is. What it doesn't do is it doesn't factor in whether chargers are actually working. I believe some do and some don't. Some update and some don't. Not sure which ones, unfortunately, but I have a feeling Ionity does, but don't quote me on that. So do it before you go anywhere. And if you are going on a long journey, it is just worth having like a plan B and even a plan C in mind. If there's one charger that you're particularly going to be relying on, just know if there's another one around there that you can go to if you need to. But what I would say is you can be pretty assured that you're not going to get any worse than that. It does seem quite cynical in its approach, which is good because that's what you want. But just make sure, as I said, I mean, on there, you know, I've got 20% set as an arrival ideal, really, to get to a charger. You could set that lower. You could even go 10%, really, but. I like to err on the side of caution these days after my mishap on the motorway. Look back at the previous video for that if you want to see. Even though it's incredibly embarrassing. So it's a really good way, if you can see doing that, it's a really good way of working out what EV would be right for you. If you commute, let's say you commute like 50 miles a day or something like that, then really every EV is going to be fine. But let's say you have to drive to see the family or something, well, and maybe that takes a good few hours. Well, you'll see that buying an e-Golf, for instance, is just going to be perhaps you'll decide it's a bit too much stress. Generally stopping when you're charging, I mean, most of the chargers have restaurant facilities and things like that, so if you do have a long trip and it is just one charger that you need to go to, then that's fine, isn't it? Because you just stop for lunch anyway. Or, even if you have to do lots of little small charges, which is actually what a better route planner tends to tell you to do, because that's the most efficient way of doing it, given that batteries get very slow charging after 80%. So even if you do that, well, you've probably got to stop to pee anyway. So it's not too bad. Okay, so the other thing we can do is let's go back to doing a long trip then. Let's say we're going to where's somewhere long? Oh, Liverpool. Let's say Liverpool. I've never been to Liverpool, but let's try Liverpool. Okay. So yeah, let's do that. Now that's going to need a couple of chargers, I would have thought, because that is quite a distance, isn't it? Yep, there you go. 2 chargers. So what you can do is, given that you've got to factor in stopping for lunch anyway, probably. What you can do is click on this. Oops, not that. You can click there, and you can say, let's take a long break here. Okay, and then we can click back here. Plan route again, and you'll see that depart charge is 100%. So you've got a nice little burger icon there. So then it adjusts accordingly. You'll also see that that takes 1 hour 21 minutes to charge from 20% up to 100%, and that's on Ionity. So that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because it takes, was it 40 minutes? It takes about 44 minutes, I think it might be. 44 minutes at maximum speed to get up to 80% in the Niro. So you can see that that's a good extra 40 minutes you have to wait to get up to 100%. But this is what we did in Italy, and it didn't bother us, because really 1 hour 21, especially when you've got a kid, it's fine for waiting and eating, and it's fairly leisurely, isn't it? So what you can also do then is, let's say we want to go to, or let's say we're going to stop in Coventry. Now you can click this little cog icon just here. And you can put in even more information here. So let's say we're going to charge to 100% in Coventry. Power, God knows. Well, let's say 50. So imagine you were going somewhere like a hotel, and that's, again, this is what we did in Italy a lot. We would enter that kind of information. Our planned route. Now it's probably going to say I don't have to go there. It might decide that. To Ionity. Or it's still saying it. No, it's still saying it. Okay, fine. So there you go. That's what it comes up with, and you can see that. Stopping in Coventry, charging up to 100, still means I get to Liverpool with 26%. So that just shows you really how powerful it is to plan a trip. And you can, once you've planned the trips, you can save the plan, you can share. Let's share to app. I'm not actually sure what app that would be. I guess it's sharing to things like Apple Maps and stuff. But anyway, you can copy Waze link, Google Map links, and all that kind of stuff. So it's extremely powerful, amazing to think it's free, and it's a really wonderful service. Whatever mapping solution you use, whether you use Waze, Google Maps, or Apple Maps, or whatever's inbuilt in your car, really none of those are as powerful as that, because they don't take into account the elevation and things like that. Really, all cars should have that. All EVs, I should say, should have that. And this is it's another reason I don't want to heap too much praise on Tesla all the time, but frankly, they deserve it. The sat-nav in Teslas is amazing because it does that. And they all need that. Now, I'm fairly positive that the new Volkswagen, the ID3, I think has a very good mapping solution inside it. I'm also pretty definite that the Polestar 2 does as well, because that's Google Maps, and I think Google are getting much better about the whole EV thing. Well, in fact, it's the whole car runs on Google, so that's a good sign, because that's what we need, more intelligent mapping solutions like this. I got a comment on a video a while ago just saying don't use Apple Maps, just use the inbuilt sat nav. And I would agree that Apple Maps is not very reliable, but really the inbuilt sat nav is terrible. I just would not use that at all. I mean, apart from the fact you don't get traffic on the in the e-Niro one, because it doesn't have any internet connectivity. So point is, a better route planner is fantastic, and really that's what we would want. I mean, they should do that for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, because that would be a pretty amazing solution. Anyway, enough of all that. Let's see how accurate it was. Here's the trip to Winchester. Have you ever seen anything so tacky? My wife has done this, by the way, not me, my wife. She's classy enough to want a Cybertruck, but... Okay, so I'm going to leave tomorrow morning, and I'm just going to get the car set up. So I'm going to plug it in and make sure it's charged to 100%. What I'm also going to do is set because it's going to be very cold tomorrow, I'm going to set the heater to come on. Now with my old Leaf, I could do this using an app, and I do have OVMS plugged in, but you can't preheat using that, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to do it on here. Now you can preheat the car when it's plugged in, and I haven't done it yet, weirdly. So I'm going to do that right now, and hopefully it works, because what I'm not sure about is that the charging works on a timer, so it only works during the night when the electricity is cheap. So I'm not sure whether the heater will still work when it's plugged in and it's not charging, if you know what I mean. But anyway, we'll give it a go and we'll see if it works. So we go to EV, and then we go to charge management, and then we go to target temperature. 24 degrees, that's nice and toasty. Be activated according to departure time. Okay. Now, next departure is going to be tomorrow, which is Thursday, and I'm going to be leaving at 7. You can't really see that very well, sorry. No, are we going to get that? There we go, 7:30. I'm going to be leaving at 7:30, so let's go okay on that. So hopefully then it should be, when I get to the car tomorrow at 7:30, that'd be nice, won't it? It'll be 24 degrees. Right, so well, the car is nice and warm, so the heating did work. So I need to change to normal mode and auto regen, and then we'll see how that is. So first of all, we'll change the drive mode. You do that by clicking drive mode there. So normal. Next up, we'll change the regen. So at the moment, well, at the moment it doesn't say anything, does it? Put it into drive. Okay, well, at the moment it's on level 1 regen. Just see there, level 1. And I'm going to hold down the paddle here. This paddle on the right, hold that down. And then it goes to auto. So auto with 1 regen. And people say that's going to be better for motorway. And okay, and I'll just reset I'll reset that. Okay, by holding down the OK button. What is it, 24% did it say? 26%? I think 26% it says on a better route planner battery when I get there. I think it's going to be a bit better than that, but let's see. All right, let's go. 2.5 hours it'll take, I think. Sorry about the cough. Normally I have regen set to 3, and I really like that. I really like the feel. It's just a nice feeling, I think, of having that kind of braking all the time. And at the moment it's set to 1 on auto, and what auto does is a bit of a, well, to be honest, it's a bit of a mystery to me, and I tried to find out online what it actually does. Some people were saying, well, it uses the camera and then adjusts your regen. It increases the regen effectively the closer you get to an object in front. In other words, it slows you down with the regen automatically. Other people were saying that it's based on the map, so it's based on the sat nav, and it uses that. Well, from my experience, it does use both. For instance, I'm in traffic. The queues are quite bad on the motorway. I'm in traffic, and if I start to get too close to the car in front, and I let go of the accelerator, the regen will get higher, and it will brake using the regen. Otherwise, Tesla Model X just went past. Bloody hell, they're massive. Yeah, and then earlier I was approaching a roundabout. In fact, I didn't know I was approaching a roundabout, but it was around a curve, and I noticed the regen got harder, even though there was no car in front of me. So it must use the mapping, unless it was just a coincidence and I'm doing something wrong. But it must use the mapping as well. It must have known that there was a roundabout coming up, and it slowed me down for that reason. So it's actually pretty good. My only reservation is that I like the feeling of being in control and everything being consistent. So if you don't have it set to auto, at least you know how the car is going to respond. With this, it's a bit more of a lucky dip. I'm not quite sure how it's going to feel, but once you get used to it, it's actually pretty good. Okay, so I'm here and I'm so late, it's ridiculous. I'm 1 hour 10 minutes late for a meeting, right? So 96 miles left on the GOM, 43% battery, so better than expected. So, right, go to the meeting. Went to a pub, had some lunch, and now it's 3:15 and it's time to go. And I've only got 70 miles left on the GOM and 34% battery left. That a better route planner is telling me I need to charge, obviously on the way back, 'cause I obviously do, and it's telling me to go to Ecotricity. And I was thinking, well, do I go somewhere else instead? But no, I think I'll try Ecotricity. So let's just hope. They've only got one stall, one CCS charger, so let's just hope that it works. And no one else is using it. So, okay, let's go. And here we are at Ecotricity, and it's 2% better than expected. Good Lord, the weather is so bad. Right, let's try and plug in. Ecotricity hardly ever works. No, come on, charge port open. Okay, let's see if this works. DC combo, yes. Connect your vehicle. Connected, thank you very much. Go on, you can do it. Go on. Charging. Well, that's a good sign. Free vend. Hey, result. Okay, I'm going to run in and pee. So it's a little bit suspicious when the car is charging on free vend. When Ecotricity is on free vend, it always feels like, you know, it's doing that just because there's probably a fault on it or something. But luckily, while I'm in the warmth in here and it's not raining, luckily I can look at the open vehicles, the OVMS app, and that tells me it's charging. So that's great. That was the main reason I used to use the app on the Nissan Leaf all the time. It was just to find out whether it was still charging or not. So that's great. Anyway, the amazing Ecotricity is free in both ways. Free to charge and also free of anyone else charging. That doesn't happen very often. It doesn't happen very often that it's working. So anyway, I'll enjoy it today. So I have to charge according to a better route planner. What did that say? I'd have to charge for, I'll put it up on the screen again, got to charge for about 40 minutes, I think it said, wasn't it? 40 or 50 minutes. So I'll catch up with some work, and then I'll go and hit rush hour traffic again on the motorway, which is going to be a bit miserable. Anyway, I'll go back to the car now and do some work. God, this weather. Miserable weather. I've gone full Eskimo look. Are we allowed to say Eskimo anymore? I'm not sure if we are. Maybe that's one of those things that you're not supposed to say. But you know what I mean. I'm normally politically correct. Okay, let's go over and see how the Niro is doing. What a brilliant car the Niro is. So good. You know, I met someone the other day and they couldn't believe it was an electric car because it had the roof box on top. It's a funny thing, it makes it look like a normal car. Okay, so we've been charging for 9 minutes. We're on 22% battery now. That's the problem with it's not a problem with Ecotricity, but you know, it's slower than Ionity, obviously. So yeah, I'm going to be here a long while. Currently charging at 39 kilowatts, which doesn't seem like very much. This charger here is a 50 kilowatt charger, so 39 kilowatts is a little bit on the low side. And looking at the charging graph that FastNed provide, it's really good that you can go on there and you can see what you should expect. It's certainly, I mean, at 26% battery, which is what it's on while I'm talking now, it should be higher than 39, I would have thought. So that just shows how variable charging speeds can be, and there doesn't appear to be any real reason for it. And if you buy the e-Niro and you hear them say, well, it's like 44 minutes to 80% or something like that. That is only when you've got like proper optimum speed, I think on like 77 kilowatts, 76, 77 kilowatts that you get on like an Ionity charger or FastNed or all the other good ones. ChargeMaster have got them now, haven't they? The very fast chargers. So yeah, so you get them on that. But yeah, 39 kilowatts is not great. I'm wondering whether that's the reason that it's on free vend at the moment. Maybe this unit has had a bit of an issue, and that's why. But anyway, who's this rocking up to the charger? A Leaf. That's right then, I'm not blocking them in. So yeah, anyway, it's free. I'm not going to complain too much. Yeah, hopefully it gives me just enough juice. I have been on Ecotricity chargers before where it's kind of died after a while. I think I did a video about it. It died after a while, and that wouldn't be ideal because I really do need quite a lot of charge before I attempt the journey home. Having said that, I'm going to be stuck in traffic a lot, so the consumption is not going to be as bad as I think anyway. But yeah, so what are we on? 28% at the moment. Yeah, you see, slow. It's very slow. Anyway, stop complaining, Andrew. Okay, my time limit's finished. So, be on my way. Turn the light on. So I wanted to get to 65% so I could match what a better route planner said, because that said that I would then get back to Canterbury with 20%. But it's fine, I can work it out from that. So in theory, I should get back to Canterbury with 16%, 17%. So let's see. Interestingly, the consumption info says 3.7 miles. That just shows how slow it was on the way here. Also, everyone was going slower, of course, because it's really bad weather. But anyway, okay, right. So let's go. This is going to take a while to get back. 2 hours or something ridiculous, because it's rush hour, so it's the worst possible time to come, and the weather is terrible. But anyway, it's fine. I've got enough charge, so that's all good. Right, I'm back home with, let's see, 32% battery, 71 miles on the GOM, and the consumption, the The efficiency was 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour, which is actually better than my average most of the time just doing school trips. I did have to go on a bit of a detour on the way back, which means that actually it's not a great way of testing a better route planner, because yeah, the motorway was terrible and Waze sent me off on a different way. These Christmas decorations, it kills me. Auto regeneration was actually pretty good once I got used to it. It does just use the camera. It doesn't use mapping data, as far as I can tell. At least I thought it had slowed down for a roundabout automatically when I was on the way there, but it doesn't. It does just slow down for the cars in front, and that works pretty well. Why did I get 3.7 efficiency? Maybe, I mean, I wasn't going very fast, admittedly. I certainly wasn't doing the 74 miles an hour like I'd put on a better route planner. Maybe the wind was behind me all the time. I don't know. That's all I can think of. Unless this auto regen really is very efficient. Who knows? I'm going to have to do some more tests, I think. So a better route planner, as I said, it's a very good guide. It's a useful guide for you, and you can kind of consider it most of the time as a worst case scenario, because it must treat, like, for instance, when I did it, it would be thinking the whole motorway I'd be doing 74 miles an hour. I wasn't. I was doing 60 a lot of the time and 40 in some parts. But it's a good guide. So yeah, that's all I've got to say on it, really. But do use a better route planner, because it really is brilliant. And luckily for me today, the Ecotricity charger was working and it was free, so that was a bonus. Hope this has been interesting. Do subscribe and press the bell icon if you want to be notified of my next videos. And thank you very much for watching, and goodbye for now.